hair alert. How do I look? I like it. Okay. It's growing. It hasn't been a year yet. I did it in January, so and it's end of August, so it's not bad. Hi guys, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today I just wanted to chit chat with those who are interested in starting a poultry farm. Yes, poultry farm is a good business in Ghana, but it's very capital intensive. So before you even start the structure, you have to do your research and see if it's something that you can keep up. Because apart from building the structure, for about 3 to 4 months, you will be responsible to take care of the animal feed and also medicines and all that. And animal feed for our 3,000 capacity on a weekly, we're looking at about 4,000 Ghana just for the feed. Okay, so imagine. So before you start, make sure you have the money saved. Okay, that's my number one tip for the feed, because I recently saw on Facebook someone was selling his 700 chicks, 700 capacity, because he couldn't afford to buy feed and he lost like 50 in a day. I mean, that's a very sad situation. So I know it's a lucrative business, it could be, but before you can make the money, you have to put a lot into it. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Okay, first step in starting a poultry farm, after you do your research and you're sure that's what you really want to do, is to acquire a land. Okay, and try not to get it so close to town, because with the feces and stuff, eventually it gets very stinky. So make sure you buy your land, or like depend on how big you want to do it, get a land, secure it, buy it, register it, get it ready. Okay, that's the first thing to do after you've done your research and you know you are ready to do the business, because it's capital intensive, as I said. After you bought your land, you've secured it, you've registered it, now you have to decide where on the land you want to build your poultry farm. And wind direction matters a lot, so you can consult someone who knows about that, or just do your research and find out where on your property is good for the chicken pen to be on. And then after that, you clear the land and you start the process of building. Get someone that knows how to build a proper chicken pen, or if you're doing yourself, research. Like Google is a click away. So do your research and find out. And I did that. We researched, but we ultimately decided to let somebody lead us by building kind of like a contractor. And honestly, it was a mistake. Like, everything he did is not up to standard, and I'm not happy with him. Since the chickens came on day 1, I haven't heard from him, and now the chickens are like 17 weeks. He doesn't call to see how the chickens are doing or anything like that. And then on top of that, I found out that some chickens were missing, and then through my research, I didn't get any good reason why my chickens were missing. But going back on our communication, the day the chicks came and before he left Cape Coast, I'm very convinced, like I'm 99.9% sure that he had a hand in the missing chicks. So be careful who you work with, okay? Because looking back on my messages with him, that very day that he brought the chicks, I had to go to Harbor the very next day, 28th April, to go clear my stuff from the harbor. So I was thinking about how I was going to drive and then pick up the stuff, rent the truck, and how am I going to get back. So I was trying to either take a public transport and then come back with a truck that will be having the truck that will be carrying my stuff, or I'll find a ride. So I thought he was here. So I wrote him and I said, you know what? I have to go to Harbor and blah blah blah. So if you're going to Accra, please, I want to go with you. I want to hitch a ride with you so I don't have to worry about driving there, and then I can just come back with the truck that's bringing my stuff. Initially, he said okay. Then it was time to go, and then he started making excuses. Oh, the chicks are only a day old, and I'll prefer if you don't leave them here. Kenneth doesn't know how to do it, and meanwhile, I don't know how to take care of it either, right? And me and Kenneth were both learning, so it doesn't matter whether I'm here or I wasn't here. So then, me being the business owner and worried about the situation, I said, okay, that makes sense. So I decided to ask my security to go get my stuff from Tama instead of me going. But looking back, I'm like, he tried all his possible best not to give me a ride and to prevent me from getting a ride from his car, because at that time I think he had hidden the chicks somewhere. So that was, and there's no way I can drive back with him to Accra without hearing the chicks making noise in the back. So he probably thought about it, and he's like, this is not a good idea to give her a ride. So then he had to talk me out of it. So everything that happened that day, we were supposed to meet together to get the chicks. He didn't call me. He got it after he called me. Then I told him I'm scared of driving in the dark. Wait for me. He made up excuses, and I said, okay, go ahead. I don't want my chicks to stress out. Then we'd go and count. I asked him how many. He didn't tell me the exact reason. He said, oh, we have enough. We have enough. And then after we finished counting, he was in a hurry to burn the boxes. And he burned the boxes and even burned the pipe that we were using for the poly tank. And then on top of that, I wanted to hitch a ride with him to Accra, and he made excuses and not give me a ride. So after all this, I can only conclude that he had a hand in the missing chicks. I still don't know where it is, but he had a hand in the missing chicks. Yes, I know I digress, but that was a good story to tell you so you can learn from my mistake. I was here in Ghana here, and I still can't get over how he was able to steal my chicks from me. Okay, so anyways, back to the pen. The poultry pen, make sure it's very good. Like, where we paid extra because he said where we were is slopey, so we paid extra for block laying and all kinds of things. He promised us heaven and earth. Look, I'm gonna get you a worker. That fell through. And then when he had to step in to come and help us, he charged us extra transportation. We paid for the hotel he stayed at. We paid for his trips from the hotel to our farm and many other things. Meanwhile, we contracted you to take care of this. So if you promise to give us a worker and it falls through, shouldn't you be the one to cover it? Yeah. So learn from my mistake. Don't hire anybody to be like the contractor to build your pen. It's not worth it. Just hire mason, know what you want, and tell them how you want it, and it'll work out, and you save yourself a lot of money, because we wasted a lot of money because like I told you before, I thought going with somebody that knew about poultry will help us not make some mistakes, but it's a major no-no. Okay. Before you complete building your poultry pen, you have to know when the chicks will arrive. No, you have to know when you want your chicks to come, and then order your chicks. Okay, because it takes anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 months. It depends on however long. We ordered ours in February and it came in April, and we started building the same month of February too. So we had given ourselves 6 weeks. Sorry, I'm squinting because it's so sunny. We had given ourselves 6 weeks, but to complete the structure, but we finished it like 4 weeks to 5 weeks. So then we had to wait, and then the arrival of the chicks was postponed a week or a couple of weeks. So it works out great. So before you even finish your structure, make sure you order your chicks ahead of time. Okay, you're building your structure, you're putting money into construction, you have to think about feeders and drinkers and thermostat to keep the room temperature. You have to think about heating sources. Some people burn charcoal, some people use a gas cylinder and then heat up the room. Whatever heating source that you need, you have to make sure it's good and very good. And the one that we ended up using, the doctor said He had never used it before, so he wanted to try it. It's called Zobo or something. Don't use that. And that one blows off smoke, so that gave carbon monoxide, and it killed a lot of our chickens. And I told him about it. He didn't even acknowledge it. He didn't even apologize for his mistake. So that's what I'm saying. Just don't go with anybody. I'd rather you learn and lose it on your own than to go with so-called professionals and still lose, because then you become very bitter and angry. So I don't want you to do that. So you think about the heating sauce, whichever is good for you, whichever you can afford, that it's not going to kill your chicks, is what you get. Okay, you also have to figure out if you're going to make your feed or you're going to buy commercially made feed. Initially, the doctor suggested not to buy commercial made, so we decided for him to make 1 ton for us, and we ended up spending like 8,000 Ghana cedis for 1 ton. And when I was having issues with my chicks, and I had the feed analysis, the people there were doing the calculation for how much I paid per a bag, and it was ridiculously expensive. It was like 300 Ghana cedis, whereas I can get a starter for like 120 Ghana cedis per bag. So he totally cheated me out of the feed too. Okay, I don't know how he did it. And then on top of that, I gave the feed formula that he gave me to a vet, and he said, wow, this feed does not make sense, and no wonder why your chicks are dying. And sure enough, when we had the feed analysis, there were some issues with the feed. So I stopped using the feed, and then I went to commercial brand feed, because that was what everyone suggested to me, and that's what the chicks are still on, and it's working. And then until we ran into issues about not having enough feed, then I went back to my old feed. So it was going to stay there wasting, but because we ran out of some commercial feed and I didn't want to switch to another feed, I decided to use the one that he did while we waited for like a week or two to get the feed that we were using. So that's what I did. So if you're going to make your own feed, know what's going in there. Make sure you understand the feed formula. Don't just trust anybody's feed formula, because you're in the business to make money. So if your feed is not proper, you're not going to make money. Your chicks will be dying and all that. So if you're going to either decide whether you're buying or making your own feed. And if you're making your own feed, where are you going to get the stuff you need? The wheat bran, the maize. Are you planting your own corn? Are you getting seashell? Like, what are you getting your oyster shells and stuff from? So you have to make sure you know where to get it, because if you don't, then you're gonna run in trouble. And then also, as you know, medication is a big part of it. So make sure you have your medication, what you need. You need your Dumbaro, Newcastle, you need your glucose, you need your dewormer. Make sure you have enough money to buy all that before you need it, because you don't want to run into a situation that you need it and you don't have the money. And just make sure you also have money to pay whoever is going to help. If you're going to hire somebody or doing this, if you're hiring somebody, you're going to pay them out of your pocket for like how many months, okay? And if I were to do it again, I'll make sure I train the person before the chicks came. We didn't do that because, again, the doctor promised us heaven and earth, and we did. In the end, we got hell. So the worker fell through. So I ended up working with someone that didn't know anything about poultry farming, and I didn't know, so we learned together. So make sure you get someone that knows the business, okay, and can step in and help you, not somebody, a newbie. And even if it's a newbie, make sure you train the person ahead of time, right? So when the chicks come, you'll be able to step in and fix things as needed, okay? And once you have all that money in place and how you're gonna buy all that, you have your worker and everything. Now, let's say the poultry pen is ready. You have to get it ready. You put your sawdust, you get it all set up with your feeder and drinker and heater, and where you're going to be doing the brooding room, you section it off so it's nice and dark, and you're ready for business. And then once the chicks came, the first 2 weeks to 1 month is the most important stage, because they need the heat, they need constant care, they need constant feeding. So you have to make sure you're available. You can't be a poultry farmer if you don't have time, because then you lose money and nothing will come out of it. So once the chicks come, you just take it and learn. You know, you learn as you go. You make mistakes. Yes, you will lose some mortality rate. You can't avoid it. Your first time, I guarantee you will lose some. Okay, maybe the second batch you'll be okay, but the first batch, you're learning. So give yourself a break and learn, okay? And just be committed, keep going no matter what situations come. Sometimes you feel like you're putting so much money in, is it going to be worth it? But trust me, stick to it, and eventually you succeed. Like the first egg we got, like I was home, I wasn't supposed to be on farm. I dropped off my daughter at school and I went to the farm because I wanted to see. Like it was just tiny, but I needed to see, because after working so hard, you can't wait to see your hard work. Okay, so that's it. I hope this helps anybody who's interested in poultry farming. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. If there's anything you want to know, just let me know. We'll talk about it. I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm not perfect, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that I know. So thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate your love and support, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, and until next time, smile. See miracles in life every day. Bye guys.